The European discount carrier Norwegian Air has announced it'll end its transatlantic flights between Ireland and North America from next month. The airline has cited the grounding of Boeing's 737 MAX as a key reason behind the decision, saying the Irish routes were no longer commercially viable given the uncertainty over its fleet. Well, joining us now from London is the Independent's travel editor Simon Calder. Simon, thanks very much for joining us on the programme. Now, is the grounding of the 737 MAX to blame, or has Norwegian Air simply been making some bad business decisions?
Well, I think it's pretty true to say that over the past 3 or 4 years, Norwegian has been making some interesting decisions. It has been expanding at a ferocious rate, and now it says it's moving from expansion to profitability. Now, that's going to be very bad news for the thousands of people who, from 1 month today, were booked on services across the North Atlantic, from Dublin, from Cork, from Shannon in Ireland, to destinations such as Providence, Rhode Island. Bought tickets expecting to fly there. We have seen, of course, the Boeing 737 MAX, on which these routes were created, has been grounded for the past 5 months worldwide. Nearly 400 aircraft taken out of circulation through the busiest summer on record for aviation. So it's a tough time. But I think a lot of people would say that using the Boeing 737 MAX as an excuse is possibly the motivation here. Norwegian in all sorts of trouble with high debts and with low profitability.
And Norwegian's not the only low-cost airline, is it, to be attracted by the 737 MAX? How much of a problem is the grounding of that fleet causing for them all generally?
It's been a real headache through the summer. If you take, for example, TUI Airways, the basically Anglo-German airline, and also Ryanair, who can see there, they have been effectively having to cover for a very ambitious flying programme while not having the requisite number of aircraft. Ryanair has never taken delivery of a Boeing 737 MAX. It was due to in April this year. That never happened. Its summer flying programme was based on the 737 MAX. They have made some route cuts, in particular domestic services in the UK, but Ryanair now says that because it's basically got gaps in its fleet, it actually has too many pilots. Although, again, there's perhaps more to it. And the pilots union says that that's just an excuse to put pressure on them to settle disputes which are happening in Ireland, in the UK, and indeed with cabin crew in Spain and with Portugal. TUI Airways, meanwhile, they simply say we've lost €144 million in the past 3 months. That's simply a notice to Boeing that they are going to get quite a large bill at the end of the summer for the gaps in the schedule, which Boeing is expected to pay.
Meanwhile, the 737 MAX remains grounded. Is there any word on when it'll get airborne again?
Well, it's actually been flying on over 500 test flights from Boeing's facility in Washington State in the US. The problem is, of course, that you need to convince not just the Federal Aviation Administration, the regulator, which has been accused of being a little bit lax when it first certified the aircraft. You also have to convince all the regulators worldwide that it is safe and have a coordinated relaunch into service. Boeing is still saying that they expect it to be flying early in the third quarter. That effectively means October. And if it does that, then maybe it will be flying commercially November, December, but a lot of airlines, including Southwest, the biggest user of the 737 MAX, have taken it out of their schedules until January next year.
An interesting saga. Simon Calder, the travel editor for The Independent, thanks very much for joining us on the programme.